Chapter 6141. At this moment, Jacob is in his own office at the Painting and Calligraphy Association, busy making plans for a trip to Dubai. Hearing Irvin say that what he was thinking about was revealed, he immediately became interested and said quickly, "You come to the association to find me and come to my office for an interview." "Okay." Irvin readily agreed and blurted out, "President Wilson, wait a minute, I'll be there soon." Jacob hurriedly lowered his voice and reminded, "By the way, when you get here, don't call me President Wilson in front of others. Call me Vice President Wilson, you understand?" Irvin is clever, how could he not understand this? The reason why he calls Jacob President Wilson instead of Vice President Wilson is to please him. But naturally this title could not be used randomly in the Calligraphy and Painting Association. So he smiled and said, "President Wilson, you can always rest assured that I will take care of things." After hanging up the phone, Irvin drove to the Painting and Calligraphy Association as quickly as possible. At this time, in the Calligraphy and Painting Association, there were only about a dozen people at the dozens of workstations. But there were a lot of office supplies or personal items on the dozens of workstations, which made Irvin feel a little strange. After he inquired, an employee took him to Jacob's office. After knocking on the door, he opened the door and said to Jacob, "Vice President Wilson, someone wants to see you." Jacob looked up and saw Irvin behind him and waved his hand. "Okay, let him in, you go and do your work." "Okay, Vice President." The employee invited Irvin into the office, then closed the door and left. Irvin came to Jacob with a smile and sat down on the chair in front of his desk. After sitting down, he couldn't help but curiously asked, "President Wilson, there are so many workstations outside, why are there no people there?" Jacob quickly lowered his voice and said, "Don't call me President Wilson, call me Vice President Wilson." Irvin smiled mischievously, and then said, "There is no one else here, so don't worry. Besides, I think you will have to take off the Vice President's name sooner." Jacob said with pretending humility, "Hey, you can't say that. Before I take it off officially, I am the Vice President, and I can't overstep it." After saying that, Jacob knocked on the table and said, "You just asked why there are so many empty workstations outside, right?" Irvin nodded repeatedly, "Yes, yes." Jacob stretched out and said with a smile, "This is the nourishing place of the Painting and Calligraphy Association. Everyone is not under pressure, and we do not have excessive demands on the employees below. In the morning come when you can get up, or come in the afternoon if you can't. After sitting here enough, men can ask friends to drink coffee, and women can ask girlfriends to go shopping. All they have to do is give a reason for going out to visit calligraphy and painting authors. I usually do that. I don't stay here often. I used to like to go to the university for the elderly to talk nonsense. Now I don't like to go there. I haven't developed the next project to kill time yet." After saying that, Jacob waved his hands in boredom. "Don't talk about this. I'm so annoyed, let's talk about the project you mentioned, how do you do it?" Irvin smiled and said quickly, "I went to the Antique Street to inquire about it today. The person named Jew came back this time with a total of hundreds of thousands of funds. If he were to be blinded and lose all these hundreds of thousands, wouldn't he be doomed? Not only would his money be gone, but his reputation would also be gone. When the time comes, he would have to run away from the Antique Street in despair. Then your enemy would taste it." When Jacob heard this, he immediately became excited. Yesterday, his daughter and son-in-law also said that it was possible to get in by beating someone. He is now the executive vice president of the Calligraphy and Painting Association and the most dominant competitor for the next president. If he is injured because of beating someone or hiring a murderer, if he is arrested, the Calligraphy and Painting Association will definitely not be able to survive. But Irvin's method is much better. Not only does he not have to bear any responsibility, but he also does more harm to Peter. Even if he lets himself slap him twice, it would be meaningless. Watching him lose all his money and reputation would make him feel even happier. Thinking of this, he immediately asked Irvin, "Is there anything that can ensure that he will definitely win the eyes?" Irvin said with rare caution, "President Wilson, if you want to say something that will definitely hit the eyes with him. I can tell you there's no guarantee, but I can find experts who specialize in cheating." Jacob asked curiously, "What do you mean by people who specialize in cheating?" Irvin explained, "There are too many fakes in the antique industry. And they are sold at street stalls. Antiques and lies are inherited from ancestors or just excavated from the construction site. They are all pickled and aged handicrafts. They are the lowest form of deception. They are designed to deceive fools. They are used on antique streets to deceive foreigners or those who know a little bit. For lovers, that is another level. In addition, there are some masters of counterfeiting who specialize in making fake things to deceive wealthy big players and even experts." As he spoke, Irvin said again, "This kind of master's counterfeiting skills is very realistic. They usually first find a high imitation of something from the Tang, Song, Yuan, and Ming dynasty in modern times or even the Middle and Late Qing dynasty, and then transform it into a top-notch product that matches the characteristics of those periods, such as using a Qing imitation of the Yuan dynasty. Porcelain, pretending to be Yuan dynasty porcelain, something that cost tens of thousands, suddenly turned into hundreds or tens of millions. The most powerful ones were those who used Qing dynasty imitation Chenghua Doucai to pass off as real Chenghua Doucai. There was a big collector who I defrauded with 100 million for such a chicken pot cup." Irvin continued with beaming eyebrows, "President Wilson, think about it, if we can find something like this, we can offer it to Liang Yun for hundreds of thousands. When Liang Yun takes a look, good guy, this thing is worth at least a f***ing million. You have to take it no matter what. When he really takes it, let's find a channel to let it out. Just say that thing is fake, or he will smash his hand. Are you in?"